welcome. Let's start lying down. Any comfortable position for you. Aha, Janice. Hi, Janice. Welcome. We're starting lying down. Ooh, I'm very bright. There's the light coming in. All right. So this week, it's going to be spring. For those of us who live in London, this morning it looked like winter, but that's okay. It's all gone now. Okay, so first we'll just kind of take a moment here to settle in and notice where we have landed on our mats and in our lives. So noticing your body on the earth, what sensations do you feel in your body today? Noticing your breath, feeling the rise and fall of your breath in your body. And noticing any thoughts going through your mind. Letting go of any thoughts that you don't need during our time here together. Trust that you can come back to them at a later time. You just don't need them right now. And notice your body connecting to the earth. See if you can feel a sense of safety and security here while the earth holds you and supports you. Imagine energy coming from the earth up into your body, allowing you to feel safe and grounded. Allow the energy to travel through your body into your heart center and listen if there's anything that your heart longs to create. So, our classes this week are about spring, and today's class is about rebirth. So, first, a quote by Gandhi. Each night when I go to sleep, I die. And the next morning when I wake up, I am reborn. So, spring is the time when things are reborn, when they come back to life. And it's a time that we reemerge from the darkness of winter. Winter is a time when we are silent and still and access our inner wisdom. We tap into the resources stored within us to fully bloom again when the conditions are right. In spring, the renewal and rebirth of our cycle comes to pass. Spring celebrates the time of equal light and darkness and is a time of promise, creativity, hopefulness. As the sunshine increases and the days officially have longer hours of light than dark. Now is the time to give power to the dreams that you nurture during stillness and the quiet of winter. It's an opportunity to honor your plans that you have made and put them into action. All right, so rebirth. Let's start with some small movements here in the fingers and toes. Rolling around wrists and ankles. Maybe taking a big stretch here if that feels good for you. And I invite you to set an intention for our practice today. And I'm going to offer you an intention. If it doesn't appeal to you, feel free to set your own. The intention for today is to shed the things of the past that we no longer need, that no longer serve us, in order to provide space for new things to come, for creation and rebirth. Okay, so whenever you are ready, rolling over to one side, whichever side is calling for you, and gently making your way up to seated. Okay, so we're seated. We're going to start with actually some movements here in a butterfly pose. So feet are going to come together, knees are going to come apart. Okay, and then just finding some circles here in that butterfly pose. So maybe they're big circles, little circles. Going in the opposite direction. All right, and slowly coming back to center. And then we're going to make just some movement here from side to side. So you're going to go from one hip to the other hip. Just notice how it feels in your body. Maybe you lean as you come over to one side and lean as you come over to the other. All right, and then coming back to center. And we'll find a bit of a twist here. So right hand comes to the left knee, left hand behind you. Inhale to lengthen your spine and exhale to turn. So nice gentle twist here just to begin. Inhale to lengthen your spine and exhale, come back to center. And then moving your way over to the other side, left hand to right knee, right hand behind you. Inhale to lengthen and exhale to turn. Notice what's happening in your legs, the inner thighs, still in this butterfly pose. Are you able to soften your knees a little bit? Relax your legs, even in this pose. All right, inhale to lengthen the spine and exhale to come back to center. So if your legs need a break, feel free to stretch them out, give them a shake before coming into our full butterfly pose. So butterfly, lengthening your spine on your inhale, and on your exhale, folding forward. See if you can start with a flat back. Send your heart forward. Soften the knees. Might be wanting to come up right now. And then if you don't have any low back issues, maybe you start to round your spine. Head comes lower and just soften in this pose. So butterflies are symbolic of being born twice. Like a flower held tightly in its bud, or a chicken pecking its way to a new life. The butterfly understands that for life to emerge, it must go through the difficulty of breaking through what holds it so tight. All right, let's take 2 more rounds of breath here. And then slowly coming back up to center. We're going to bring the feet to the earth and bring the feet wide on your mat. Hands come behind you to support you. And then windshield wiper your knees from side to side. Nice and gentle. Notice what's going on here along the outside of the thigh into the hip. Found a squeaky spot on the floor. All right. So let's come over into our tabletop pose. Wrists underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips. Finding some cat-cow movement here, rounding your spine, tucking your chin, tucking your tailbone, really pushing yourself away from the floor, arch your spine. And then moving in the opposite direction, tailbone comes up towards the sky, heart shines through. Just move here with your own breath. See where it's more comfortable to inhale and where it's more comfortable to exhale. All right. So 2 more rounds of breath here. And then coming back to your tabletop pose. All right, let's curl the toes under, send the hips up and back behind you, downward dog. Shoulders roll back and down the spine, gripping the fingers into the earth, and start with a bit of a bend in your knees here. So maybe even see if you could take a bit of a deeper bend, send the hips back a little bit more, and then slowly start to straighten your legs just as much as you feel comfortable. Maybe you find some movement in your legs, walking out dog. Taking the dog for a walk. Walkies. All right. So 2 more rounds of breath here. And then making your way towards the front of your mat into a forward fold, however it feels comfortable to get there. Softening your upper body down. As much of a bend in your knees so there's no discomfort in the backs of your thighs or in your low back. Allow your head to dangle. And maybe you sway. All right, let's make our way into a halfway lift. Hands come to shins or thighs, flat back here. Draw the navel in. Crown of the head reaches forward, and see if you can find the four corners of your feet. Equal weight in all parts of your feet. And then exhale, forward fold. All right, so we're gonna come into a warrior one. Right foot comes back, big step. Nice wide stance on your mat, so left foot to the left side, right foot to the right. Toes of the right foot point up towards the top right corner of your mat. Allowing your arms and upper body to rise, and check the front knee, make sure it's over the ankle in line with the second or third toe. Excuse me. Softening your shoulders. Okay, so depending on what feels good for you in your body, we're gonna try and square the hips towards the front of the mat. So if it feels really sucky, it doesn't have to be all the way squared. Whatever feels right for you. All right, so squeeze your inner thighs here. Allow the arms to reach up towards the sky. Notice what happens in your body when you squeeze your inner thighs. Notice your feet start to kind of ground down a little bit more. Notice you're able to reach high in the upper body. We're going to hold this for a few rounds of breath. If you need to find a little bit more challenge, then you take a longer stance here on your mat. All right, we're going to take 3 more rounds of breath. Okay, and then when you're ready, we're going to shift the weight forward, send the arms back, draw the navel in, reach nice and far back with those arms, still bend into that front knee. Maybe you come up on the back toes. Squeeze the inner thighs. Notice as you do that, your upper body rises. We're gonna hold a few more rounds of breath. Ooh, find your balance. Draw the navel in. Check that front knee. All right, and then when you're ready, warrior 3. So back foot comes up off the earth. If you fall, it's okay. So we're gonna extend that right foot long behind us. Find a place to focus on that isn't moving. Allow the crown of your head to reach forward. Perhaps you find a little bit of a challenge here by allowing your arms to reach forward as well. Point the toes of the right foot down towards the earth. Squeeze the inner thighs, notice what happens. Ooh. All right, let's take a big step back here with the right foot, high lunge or warrior 1 if you need. All right, windmilling the hands down towards the earth. Right foot steps forward to meet the left, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. And exhale to fold. Let's step the left foot back, warrior 1. Toes point up towards top left corner of the mat. Check your front knees, squeeze the inner thighs. All right, if you want to find a little bit of a back bend here while you're here, you certainly can. So maybe it's cactus arms, sending the tailbone down towards the earth, allowing the heart to rise up towards the sky. or maybe even clasping the hands behind you, shoulders roll back and down the spine. So again, if you need more of a challenge, find a longer stance so that eventually that front thigh comes parallel to the earth. Find your breath. All right, let's release the arms, come back to center, and then hands come back behind you, navel draws in, reaching forward, nice straight spine here. Maybe even shifting your weight slightly more into that front foot, coming up on the back toes if that feels good. Squeeze the inner thighs. So nice and strong in the legs. Notice your breath. See if you can take deep inhales in through your nose and long, slow exhales out. All right, it's called slow burn for a reason, right? Starting to feel it. All right, let's shift the weight into the right foot. Send the left foot up and back. Lengthen the crown of your head forward. Stretch the left leg back. Maybe even activate that foot. Maybe arms reach forward. Some days are easier to balance than others. All right, take a big step back, high lunge or warrior one. Hands windmill down towards the earth. Left foot steps forward to meet the right forward fold. So release any tension in your neck. Maybe you sway, grab a hold of opposite elbows, or clasp your hands behind your back. Shoulders roll back and down, hands rise. All right, releasing the hands down. If they're up, inhale, halfway lift. And exhale, forward fold. Let's give the low back a little break. Step back into a tabletop pose. And then we're going to come back into child's pose. So any variation that feels amazing for you here. Arms can be long. Some people like to bring their arms between the knees, head to the earth. Or maybe arms come back by the feet, palms face up, or hands, sorry. Reconnecting to your intention here. Shed any limiting behaviors and create space in order to find rebirth, a new creation, allowing for something to grow. All right, 2 more rounds of breath. And then coming back to your tabletop pose. All right, curling the toes under, shifting the weight up and back, downward dog. So we want to have a little bit of give in the elbows. You don't want to lock the elbows out. And to find a little bit more here, maybe imagine that you have some jars underneath your hands. You want to turn the jars outwards, the lid of the jars outwards. So turning them towards the sides of your mat. All right, if you want a little bit more, three-legged dog. Maybe the right leg comes up towards the sky, pointing the toes down towards the earth. Slowly lowering the right foot, and then maybe coming over to the other side, left foot comes up. Notice what happens when you squeeze the inner thighs towards each other. All right, finding your downward dog. Coming towards the front of your mat, forward fold. All right, and let's walk the feet out nice and wide. So about mat distance apart, pointing the toes out towards the sides. We're gonna come into a squat. So find your variation of a squat. It might be a high squat, it might be a low squat. You may find some props to place underneath your sits bones if you're not comfortable without them. Okay. So maybe hands come to heart center, if that's comfortable, allowing the crown of your head to reach up towards the sky. All right, if you wish for a little bit more challenge, a couple options here. Maybe left hand comes to the floor, right arm reaches up towards the sky. There's also an option for a bind. I don't know if I can do the bind in this, to be completely honest. So that left arm is going to reach around that left leg. That right hand comes behind and finds the opposite hand. Still sitting up nice and tall. Ooh, okay, let's give this side a bit of a break. You're gonna make your way down into seated. So however is comfortable for you, be nice and careful, nice and slow. From our seated pose, we're going to come into a boat pose. So allowing the feet to come up, squeeze the inner thighs, back is nice and tall, maybe the arms come forward. All right, so if you want a little bit more challenge here in your boat, crossing the left foot over the right. Right hand comes down to find the right foot, it's the one on the bottom, and then left arm reaches behind you. Yoga teacher's gonna fall today. All right, let's come back to center, uncross the legs, dropping the feet. Let's come back into our tabletop pose. And then we're gonna come right back into a squat pose. Toes point out, hips come down. So notice if this squat feels a little different from the first one. Maybe you notice hips come down a little further, maybe heels are coming down towards the earth a little bit more if they're up. Also know that something I always forget to offer, you can find a folded up blanket or towel to place underneath your heels if your heels are not coming all the way to the earth. Sometimes that helps. And you feel a little bit more stable, a little bit less wobbly. All right, and if you want that twist or bind, we'll find it on the other side. Right hand, for the twist, right hand comes down towards the earth. Left arm opens up towards the sky. Perhaps if you want, you find that bind. So the right arm is going to come around the right leg, palm faces up, left hand comes behind you. See if you can link the fingers. Turn the torso towards the left. I love to see people trying. Beautiful. Let's find 3 more rounds of breath. And then releasing here. And again, slowly coming down, take your time. Shake out your legs if they need it. And then find your boat pose once again. So your variation of a boat, hands can stay on the earth if that's where they need to be. Yes, and if you want to find that twist, right ankle crosses over the left. Left hand finds the bottom of the left foot. Right arm reaches behind you. See if you can sit up nice and tall, and maybe you start to straighten your legs. Three more rounds of breath if you can make it. Come back to your boat pose. We're going to cross the ankles, come back into tabletop, or however it feels comfortable for you, tabletop. All right, curling the toes under, sitting the hips up and back behind you, downward dog. All right, let's shift our weight forward into a plank pose. Shift the weight a little bit more forward, and then knees come to the earth, tuck the elbows, chest and chin follow. So your choice of a back bend here, maybe it's a baby cobra, just the heart comes up off the earth. Maybe it's Sphinx pose, forearms to the earth. Or maybe it's full cobra, coming all the way up, slight micro bend in the elbows, tucking the elbows in either the baby cobra or full cobra. Shoulders roll back and down your spine. If you want to find some movement, you certainly can. It's your practice, right? So maybe you look over one shoulder and then you look over the other shoulder. All right, 3 more rounds of breath. And then releasing down towards the earth. We'll come back into our tabletop, into downward dog. And allowing your feet to come up towards your hands, forward fold. All right, halfway lift. And forward fold once again. This time, reverse swan dive up, extended mountain. And then let's actually come to the side. So arms coming over towards the left side. Feel lengthening here along the right side of your body. Inhale, come back to center, and exhale over to the other side. All right, inhale, coming back to center, and exhale, release the hands. We're going to take a big step back for warrior two. So left foot's going to step back. Foot is parallel to the short edge of the mat. Right foot intersects with the middle of the back foot. Squaring the hips towards the side. We're going to find a few breaths here in a warrior two. Again, if you want more of a challenge, make it so that your stance is longer on your mat so that eventually that front thigh is parallel to the earth. All right, so let's ground down into the earth. Feel the four corners of your feet. Root the feet down into the earth, press them down, and then notice the upper body rising. So bend into the front knee. All right, we're going to find a side angle. So right forearm comes to the thigh if that's where it needs to be. Maybe the hand comes down to a block or the earth. Let's do a little bit of self-assist here. So the left hand comes underneath to the right side of your rib cage. And you use your hand to help you open your rib cage up towards the side. And then that left hand either reaches up towards the sky or over towards the front of the mat. Roll that top shoulder back and down the spine. Try not to lose the bend in that front knee. A little bit of challenge if you wish. Both hands reach towards the front of the mat. Use your core to keep you up. Keep rotating your torso towards the long edge of the mat. Windmilling your arms back up, warrior two. Try not to lose the bend. Whew. Let's find a reverse warrior or peaceful warrior. Front palm turns up, back hand comes down, reaching up and over. So finding length here from the waist. And then maybe if you want to find a little more, bending that right arm so that the elbow comes up towards the sky. Left hand comes on top of the right elbow for a little stretch. Ground your feet into the earth. Push the four corners of your feet down. Release your arms, warrior two. Let's take a little break on this side. Windmilling your hands down. Left foot comes forward to meet the right. Forward fold. Shake everything out or anything out that needs to be shaken. Anything you need to let go of. And let's come to the other side. So right foot takes a big step back. Right foot comes parallel to the back of the mat. Windmilling the arms up. Again, we check the front knee. We're going to hold for a few rounds of breath. You can make this as challenging as you wish by allowing the legs to come longer on the mat. Find the four corners of both feet. So we're not collapsing in on the baby toe edge here of the right foot. And check your knee, make sure it's not dropping in. We want it at least, well, not at least, we want it over the ankle. All right, 3 more rounds of breath. And then find your variation of the side angle. Once that left arm or hand comes wherever you wish for it to be, Maybe the right hand comes underneath the left side of the rib cage to help roll open the rib cage. Right arm reaches up or over towards the front of the mat. So notice what's going on with your head. Where can you look that your neck is comfortable? Sometimes it feels better to look down. If you look down, notice that your rib cage starts to rotate down. Open it back up, out to the side. And breathe. Still bending into that front knee. Feeling a little bit of sweat happening here. All right, windmilling the arms back up, warrior two. We're gonna find that reverse warrior. Back hand comes down, front palm turns up, reaching up and over. Maybe that left arm bends, elbow up towards the sky, right hand finds the left elbow. Every once in a while, I invite you to check and make sure your knee isn't collapsing in, making sure it's over the ankle. Releasing the arms, warrior two. Hands windmill towards the front of your mat. Step back into your plank pose. Let's drop knees to the earth, chest and chin follow. And find your back bend of choice. Shoulders roll away from the ears. One more round of breath. And then release here. All right. Making your way into tabletop and into downward dog. So we're gonna hold downward dog for a few rounds of breath. Shoulders roll back and down. Slight micro bend in the elbows. And if you want a little bit of challenge here, maybe this time you pick your left hand up off the earth. Still send the hips back. Perhaps the left hand comes down, right hand comes up off the earth. Want to add a little more challenge? Left foot comes up off the earth, reaches back behind you, two-legged dog. Whoa. Come back into your downward dog. Walking your feet up towards your hands, forward fold. All right, inhale, reverse swan dive up. And again, we're gonna bring the arms over towards the left side. Find length along the right side body. If one shoulder is uncomfortable here, feel free to drop that arm down by your side. Inhaling back to center and exhaling over to the other side. Inhaling back to center, exhale, hands come down by your sides. All right, we're gonna do, let's come down to the earth actually. Kind of get into that time. So we're gonna come down to the earth and we're gonna find some other variations of our butterfly before we come into our final rested pose. All right, so we'll do this. If you have a block or a blanket, feel free to grab it. It's a folded blanket if you have it. It might be hard to see. Okay, so the block's going to be on the earth. And what you're going to do is you're going to come into your butterfly pose with feet up on the block or on the folded blanket. Find your sits bones. Sit as close as you comfortably can to your feet and sit up nice and tall. I don't know if it's from all of the hip stuff that we've done, but this actually doesn't feel very, I'm trying to find the right word. I don't feel much, but maybe you do. Softening the knees, finding your breath and reconnecting to your intention. If you wish, maybe you start to fold forward. On your next inhale, slowly making your way back up. All right, release your legs, give them a good shake. All right, and what we just did seated, I invite you to find lying down. If it's comfortable for you to bring your feet up onto the blocks or onto a folded blanket. If not, just allowing your feet to come down to the earth. So we're on our backs, reclined bound angle. Feet come up onto the blocks or the folded blanket, knees come out to the sides. If this is too much, feel free to remove the block. And lowering or closing your eyes. You have to readjust the block if your feet are sliding off. Taking deep inhales in through your nose, into your diaphragm. And long, slow exhales out. So I have a poem I'd like to share with you called Rebirth, but I have no idea who wrote it. I can't find it again, so I can't find the author. The 5-year-old who shared my name is gone. I was him once, but now all that connects us is the memory and the karma he generated. I was 17. That young man is also gone. Perhaps that's for the best. He was kind of a jerk. I am not the person I was 5 years ago. I am not the person I was 5 minutes ago. Perhaps reincarnation happens moment by moment. If at any point you wish to take your legs off the block or prop, come into Shavasana or any final resting pose that feels right for you, then please feel free to do so. And a little bit about Shavasana. So it's also called corpse pose. Practicing this at the end of our practice can mean the death or the completion of the practice. As you move through your yoga practice, your body probably has experienced many sensations. You may have even experienced various emotions. all with the idea of making changes and shifts in your body, your mind, and your heart. The corpse pose symbolizes the death of the old you, so you can step into the new you. Take a moment now to stay in this pose or whatever pose you're in to symbolize the release and death of your old ways. And making some small movements here in your fingers and toes. Rolling around wrists and ankles. In your own time, rolling over to one side, whichever side is calling for you, and then making your way up to seated. The light in me sees and honors the light in each and every one of you. Thank you for joining me this evening. Have a good evening.